Into the DNVR Avalanche podcast post-game as the Avs complete the comeback and then some against the Dallas Stars. They win the game 6-3. Feels really, really good right now. Did not feel good earlier in the game, but you know what? That's hockey for you. You got to go through the ups and the downs. You got to get a little bit of everything in it. I guess we should start with the 60-second rundown. Let's go there. Really don't think the Avs played that bad in the first. Just a couple of critical mistakes that they pay the price for. That cost them 2 goals. They end up down 2-0 against a good hockey team. Bad feels. You get into the second period, you feel like if they get the next one, they're still in it. They do not. It ends up being a 3-0 game in Dallas's favor. And honestly, my hopes were limited at that point. I was not expecting a whole lot out of Colorado, but they start working. They get one off of a nice little play from their third line. Springs Miles Wood for a breakaway who finishes. Then they get a second later in the period. And all of a sudden, this Avs team just seems to come alive. And then they get into the third period, which is the Avalanche period. And they drop 4 goals on Dallas and run away with this thing at the end of the game to take down the biggest win of the season, in my opinion. Boom. Don't need the last 3 seconds at all. I do.
Neither did the Avs.
Yeah, they didn't need like the last 5 minutes. They were good. I do want to start back in the first period though, and I want to start here. Avs continue to struggle getting the first goal of the game. I know they got one the other night, but continues to be the majority of games this season they give up the first one. How are we feeling about it tonight? Was this one a bit fluky? Is this one that they needed to do a better job of preventing Sagan from scoring that goal? Where are we at?
I liked it a few games, or especially in the first 7-8 games. They stomped on teams right away. You can see they're flying. You can see, like last game, you could see 29 flying through the screen. You could see Makar flying through the screen. It was like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Tonight, I felt it was more like a chess match. I didn't mind their first 10 minutes. I told you, hey, it's against a good team. Dallas is a good team. You're on the road at 0-0. Yeah, I didn't like those. I didn't like those first 2 goals. And those are the goals that, as a coaching staff, you don't like. You know, because they're easily correctable. You fall in a hole. It's not a recipe to win games all the time. Hey, did I like the fight? Did I like the comebacks? Awesome. But yeah, to answer your question, I think the Avs are at their best when they go at teams and they get on the board early, you know. And again, they have one of the most comebacks in the league, right? You know, there's a reason because there's no quit on that team. Plus, there's also they're gonna get their pushes in a 60-minute game, which they did tonight. But you'd like for them to get on top of games.
And I think this is one of those things where in the regular season, the Avs are often good enough to win anyway. But that does not make it a good habit. So.
I know that a 6-3 outcome, it's hard to really knock the Avs for the comeback effort that they made, but I'm with Eric. The way they allow the first 3 goals, really, but the 2 inside the first, is pretty inexcusable hockey. And it briefly made me reconsider the entirety of the conversation surrounding Dallas and Avs. Like, do the Avs even belong in the conversation of being a team to contend opposite of Dallas in the standings? And that's a bit dramatic of me, but they just weren't playing good enough to make that the conversation in the first period and the start of that second period. Because I agree, the opening 10, it was very neutralized back and forth, and I think even the Avs were the ones creating chances at first, but what bothered me was that first goal is a little bit fluky in that a shot gets deflected and goes a weird direction, but then they just get outplayed in the corner. Yeah. And instead of bouncing back from that with the right type of momentum, they take a bad penalty and allow a power play goal against a good power play team. And so that's the issue, is the emotional mental response that they have to allowing that first goal, which I'll give to them was a little bit weird, but they did get outworked in the corner. And they just weren't on all 3 of these goals covering their net front very well. They were allowing it to be very easily accessible and weren't very physically punishing to the players in their own crease. And this bothered me a little bit because that's an issue of effort. You know, it wasn't that they were getting outmatched and outplayed, it's they were getting out something mentally. Like they were letting that side of the game beat them, and they weren't effort-wise where I needed to see them. Coming out of the first period, in my opinion, the best player on the ice was Logan O'Connor. And it was interesting then, the direction that this game goes, the players that get them back in this are the workhorses. And to me, when you're looking at a Dallas team and you're talking about the top of the lineup, the top stars, it shouldn't be the workhorses that are winning this game for you and getting you back in it. And I think that's the issue I have with the way the Avs started this game.
I do think it was a bit frustrating, especially to your point of giving up those net front opportunities. Obviously, the Avs figured this game out. They got it together in the second half, but it felt a little bit too frequent in the first half of this game, where it was the same play that was continually beating them. It took a little bit too long for that adjustment to get made on Colorado's side. And, I mean, let's be real. Tough night for Jonathan Drouin. Again. That penalty you just can't have. Eric summed it up on the watch-along for us. It's a play that should be an easy dumped-in puck, and you're out of there, turns into a turnover, into a penalty, and then ultimately a puck in the back of your net.
Those are the plays that kill you in the playoffs.
Yep.
And I keep hearing Bednar, every presser, and all the players, they want to play hockey the right way to get themselves ready for playoffs. That's a non-playoff play. That is a 1-on-4 at the blue line. You just gave up a goal. That was really, like Megan said, not a lot of urgency on that first goal. Everybody was loose. Everybody's like, oh, I'll get there. Even Georgie overcommits right. Then he's down, he's done. And then Tyler Seguin's a good goal scorer, right? He's got a bunch of goals in this league. So, but that play, the second goal, I mean, you know, the play at the blue line, and we talked about on the pregame, blue lines, it's an easy decision to get that deep. And that's what got them in trouble a few weeks ago. And, you know, like those plays, and that's what turned games around. And then you take a penalty there, and then you don't kill those penalties. You'll kill the penalties where you stick together as a teammate, you defend a goal, but at the opposite blue line, you take a penalty that's useless, and because it's a careless play, and the NHL is not forgiving. It doesn't forgive, and all of a sudden you're down in a 2-0 hole, right? And those are plays that are easily avoidable. And that's where Jonathan is going to need to be better to get his place in the lineup more consistently and with a bigger role in the lineup. But that's a play that just can't happen.
Yep. A couple other players I wanted to kind of touch on the bad portion of this game. One, he ended up with an assist at the end of the night, I think, but you're looking at a defense that had their issues tonight, but kind of got it together. Sam Girard struggled to get it together tonight. The first period and first half of the game, really, I don't know if there was much redeeming for Girard in that one. When you're looking at a team who's having some guys having tough nights like this, what's the conversation on the bench? Is it, hey, the coach is going to bench you and we're just going to move on, or is there like something to get these types of guys going when they're struggling?
Well, I'll answer. I mean, I'll let AJ talk after Megan, but as a player, sometimes you just don't have it. And when you don't have it, sometimes you don't have your legs, you don't feel good. You just got to keep things simple. And they say it all the time, and coaches will say it, guys on the bench will say it, keep it simple, stupid. And it sounds idiotic, but it's true. And make the easy play. You got to have goldfish memory, right? You know, you got to erase it. You just got to move on to the next play. And Sam's had a tremendous year so far for me. You know what I mean? And tonight, he had a tough first period. You know, again, it's that first period, that first goal. There's no urgency to get there. Guys are loose, and you know, there's 5 guys, not just Sam. But yeah, I agree with you. I didn't like his first half. I thought he was way better in the second half, and that's the only thing you can do is you don't want to sink further. You want to fall down but get back up, and I think a lot of guys got back up, you know, Georgiev included, Girard. Yep. I don't know what you guys think, but that would be my take on Sammy tonight.
I think Girard got better, but he was also very bad in the front half of this game. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the Avs just as a team were, man. I mean, you talk about a redeeming first half of the game, whatever, but, I know Eric really doesn't like the penalty on Drouin, but then you have a penalty kill that's ridiculous.
yeah.
You have Ryan Johansen out there entirely to win a face-off.
Oh, no. Yeah, I agree.
He loses it, then he doesn't cover anybody.
Yep.
And Cale McCarr goes back there to try and take away the pass.
And
doesn't take
goes
away
right
the pass.
through him, yeah.
And a puck just goes right through your goaltender. Drouin is in the box for a mistake, but as you win and lose as a team, you got to lift guys up sometimes.
Yep.
Agree.
And it's ridiculous to watch that. I mean, the pass from behind the net out in front. I mean, what are we doing here? What is this, a revolutionary concept for the Avs defense to try and handle?
As if Mikko doesn't do this to him every practice.
It's a
best
joke,
goal.
dude. I mean, it's a joke to see them just feast on high danger chances like that.
Yep.
And not all of them get through, not all of them connect, but watching them, the first save of the game from Georgiev is that play.
Yep.
And he's trying to deal with it all game, and as much as I don't like that puck getting through him on the second goal, it's just like, can you help a brother out some? Just do something to help this guy. Because it was frustrating to watch. It was frustrating to watch them. It's the same thing over and over and over and over. It's not like you're getting beat in transition and that guy falls down or that guy's too slow and then you get on the site. It's the same stuff. It's a puck coming from out behind the net, out in front, and the guy just banging away at it, and you're just losing. You're getting outworked.
Yep.
And process-wise, there are things to like in the first period of the game. Great.
Well,
woohoo. It's 2-0 at the end of it. It's ridiculous, man. The slow starts are like, you can have a slow start, but it's just, it's dumb.
and I think
it's dumb that you can't seem to get on top of a team. Eric says that, I think they're better when they're playing from out in front. How would we know? They don't ever do it.
I know.
It's frustrating to watch, man. It's frustrating.
it's hard with that second goal for me because we traced it. You can trace it all the way back. Oh, he should have made that save, but he wouldn't have had to make that save if Ryjo and McCarr played better defense on that penalty kill.
They're
But
not
they
on the
didn't.
penalty kill if Durant doesn't take the penalty.
Right.
And this is where my frustration with Megan's talking about the emotional response to stuff. It's compounding mistakes. It's not putting a stop to a mistake and saying, all right, that's the mistake, we're done with it. It's we're going to make a mistake, then a different guy's going to make a mistake, then a different guy's going to make a mistake, then another one. And the next thing you know, you're down 3-0 in a game that you really, really, really want to win. It's bad hockey. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder about a leadership vacuum, and it makes you wonder about. It makes you wonder. Okay, hey, they get away with it in a game in November. Awesome. You need all the wins you can get. That's fine. But gadzooks, you don't want to continue to have to. They are now tied for the NHL lead in comeback wins.
Oh, I hate
I know
that.
that's a little iffy
That
because
means any one goal deficit. But
exactly, that counts them being down 1-0 and then going on to win a game. Well, in this one it was 3. So to me it was frustrating to watch, and it's a concerning aspect that is no longer just like, we're 16 games into it. We're coming up on the quarter mark of the season.
Yep.
You're talking about a fourth of your games are nearly completed, and you're not even close to being 50-50 in first goal of the game. You've given up the first goal in 11 of them. So, it is frustrating. To me, it's very frustrating to watch that this dynamic just continues to play itself out.
But I'm going. But you said you go back, you're right, all the way to don't make that play, don't take that penalty. Then he doesn't have to make that save, and I agree with that. And then go back, and I'm gonna go like this, Big E's 3 keys, discipline. Don't take useless penalties. And in big games, you can't take useless penalties. For me, that qualifies as a useless penalty. And then, of course, there's so many mistakes happen. I don't know what you think, Megan, but that's the way I look at it,
Absolutely. I think that the conversation around the top 6 in the way that they start this period is they're too passive, and I don't think they were involved enough. I think Gerard had a tough start to the game, but I thought the Gerard-Byram pairing together had a tough start to this game.
That's fair.
I think that both Byram and Gerard were not committed enough in their net front coverage, and I think that they were overthinking things a little bit offensively. I recall Byram overpassing in the offensive zone when they were losing the shots battle at that point. It was past that 10-minute mark where they needed to gain an edge there, and it's just not the right choice. It's a mental lapse, and this is something that I think later in the game they overcome a bit, but when your top 6 and like, yeah, when your top 4 and your top 6 aren't starting the game on time, and you get the impression, at least from the top 6 forwards group, outside of Val Nichushkin, who I thought was working the whole game.
Agree.
There's a passivity. That's a problem because that's avoidable. That's not them getting outplayed. That's them not being committed enough.
Yep. And that's what's the problem with a lot of these goals, is you nailed it. If Dallas went out there and made a ridiculous play and it's 2-0 because they just beat the Avs, you go, okay, tip your cap. They're a good hockey team. They're going to do some of that. But when you're breaking down 5 different errors leading to the second goal, I'm not taking credit away from Dallas for converting the chance, but you're looking at Colorado and saying you need better. It's just not that complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unlike Kivi Ranta's goal the other day, where it's a good chance they can, everything is good, and then it gets to the very end of it, and you're like, your goalie needs to stop that.
Yeah.
Regardless of what else happens, you pay your goaltender to stop pucks.
Yep.
He's your last line of defense. For Georgiev, the second goal is the one that really just, ate away at me all game. Because you want your starting goaltender to make that save in particular.
Yep.
One-timers from, those quick passing plays from out behind, when they put them, those are well-placed.
Hard to track.
Yeah, you're hey, it is what it is. But Georgiev giving that one up is like, dude, you get 80% of that puck.
Yep.
It's not a special shot. You should have that one.
Yep.
Your last line of defense is leaky right now.
Yeah, it is. I do want to talk more about Georgiev, both sides of his game. But before we get into the Georgiev conversation, we got to get into a conversation about Hero Bread. Got there eventually. For real, though. Hero Bread for a heroic comeback, maybe? Is that what I should have gone with?
I love it.
Got there in the end. Hero Bread, a fantastic option for a healthy bread choice. I know a lot of people out there, whether it's like the keto diet or whatever, you have to avoid bread because it turns out bread, at least the processed kind, is really bad for you. But Hero Bread has 0 grams of sugar per serving. They have 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving, and it's also ultra low carb. So you can eat it. It's not going to mess you up when you eat it. It's not going to be a problem that you have to avoid. And it comes in more than just sliced bread. You can get it in tortillas or buns or all sorts of other options. So you can eat
hot
it
dog buns. I've had that.
There you go.
Yep.
The hot dog man himself over
Yes,
here.
sir.
Big E. How many times have you done that tonight? I feel like you're on the chipmunk train.
Chipmunk
That's
train.
better, right?
Got Eric doing it too. Hero Bread is a fantastic option. You can go over to hero.co today and be sure to use the DNVR code to get 10% off your order there. You can also get it on Amazon if you're not cool and you don't want to support the DNVR gang, but go to hero.co today, get it there, get the delicious, awesome bread from Hero Bread at a great price. And then get over to MSU Denver, where you can learn to get smart and stuff. Over 90 different majors available through MSU Denver. You can take classes online or in person or a mix of both. You can even take a path where you kind of select your own major and go through different classes that you want to take and figure it out as you go. A ton of amazing options there. I know a bunch of us here at DNVR went. Tiff, our producer, myself, we all have experienced it. It's a great place, especially if you're coming back to college, if you took some time off like Tiff and I did. MSU is the way to get back into it. So go check them out today at msudenver.edu. You can currently register for spring semester classes right now. Get in on it before it's too late. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, Georgiev. Let's talk about it. Because he was not very good, I think it's safe to say, in the first half of this game. The second goal you don't love. The third goal he gives up a rebound you don't love. There are other problems there, as we discussed with the second goal. On the third goal, Gerard kind of just isn't covering his man, isn't boxing out on the rebound, and there was a bad turnover that led to it in the first place. Then he locks it down after 3. He makes all the saves he needs to. Where are we with this performance? You need better and you got away with it, or a good enough?
You need better and you got away with it.
Okay.
And really, one extra save.
Sure.
One extra save and you feel great about it. It's a 3-goal league for the most part, so the Avs have been
not a 3 goals ever.
Weirdly immune to the 3-goal league thing, so hard to remember that is like the average score of an NHL game is 3-2, but I just a little bit better from Georgiev. You're talking one save here, so it's not like he has a long way to go.
Sure.
But you do want just to lock in just a little bit sooner.
I think it's hard for me because if the Avs had allowed those goals at a different point in the game, like if they had provided goal support and Georgiev didn't make that save on the power play or penalty kill, I would have an issue with it. But I think it's hard, and he gets paid a lot of money, but it's hard for a goaltender's confidence if the goal support isn't there, and at that point in the game it wasn't. And so it's hard, I have to imagine, to steal a game when you don't see the goals in sight, and at that point the effort level from the team in front of him, especially from the team's stars and leaders, was unsatisfactory. I'm not sure I'm ready to have a total critical analysis of Georgiev yet. I still think that we've yet to see better from him. I think he's capable of better, but I'd really like to see a game where the Avs start well and dominate early, and then I can better evaluate Georgiev in those moments. But I still think at least that power play goal against, I would have maybe liked to see him get that one. But I'm still not ready to totally throw Georgiev under the bus.
No, and I'm his biggest supporter. I am, and I love him. I still think he's a top 10 goalie in the league. His first 6-7 games, he's bang on. His numbers are great. His next 6-7 games, including tonight, he's okay. He's okay. Stretches of the game, like we talked about, AJ talked about in the second period there, doesn't allow that fourth one to go in, which that's your job as a 3. I mean, we said that at 2-0. Can't have that third one go. It did, but then I certainly can't have that fourth one. I always say it's blackjack, right? You know, sometimes you just can't win a hand, and sometimes right now it seems like in these 6, 7, 8 games, you know, pucks go in on those scoring chances, you know, and it just he's not making the save. You know, there's a couple goals tonight. Yeah, I don't like them. I don't. They're fine. You know, they're okay, but they're just. To win, especially in the playoffs, you got to make those saves. Those can go in. Now, I think he's going to have now, and you know, hopefully next game, you know, like a nice stretch of 6, 7, 8 games. Might have a dip again. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's like those elite players. It's Mac and Mikko. There's been some stretches this year where they haven't been, you know, they've been average. Yep. You know, and like AJ said, you get away with it. You know what I mean? Like, and then you win games. You know, so I do expect him to get his groove back a little bit. It was an okay effort tonight, and I agree with everyone. I think, you know, they got away from it because somewhere, somehow, Ottinger gave up 5.
He was the worst goalie at the end of the night.
There you go. That's it. And again, we love both, right? But Ottinger was below Georgie tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it is hard because at the end of the game, yeah, he gave up 3, but then didn't give up the next one, which allowed the Avs back into the game and ultimately to win the game. Would have made his life a lot easier if he only allowed 2.
Yeah, but that's your job as a goalie, right? You're out there, and it's a game within the game. And now only focus is I can't give up one more. Yep. I don't care if I have to split my groins open and, you know, make that. I mean, it is what it is. Do or die. You can't let that one go in because if it goes in, it's over.
Yep.
And it never went in, so it was never over. And then the tides turned.
Right after the Wood goal, Georgiev turned it on.
Yeah.
And that was the perfect timing in the goaltender battle.
He saw that, maybe the Avs can win this game.
Right? And that's actually impressive because with still a 2-goal deficit, that is a hard deficit to close in on. Georgiev to have that belief in the team is important too.
Yep. We see the well over 100 likes in chat. Thank you very much. So let's do our Vitamin W winner shots here. Cheers. Cheers. All the way around. Thank you for the likes, chat. Celebrate the dub. It's a big one. Our Vitamin W winners shots are brought to you by Breckenridge Distillery. By the way, head on over to Breck Distillery to get yourself some award-winning whiskey and see all of their available alcohols. Wanted to start moving into the good here. Avs third line continues to just get the job done. Is it the Colton Wood O'Connor combo? Is this just what has clicked? Is this what it's going to be?
They're so good. They're so good. They're workhorses. They are constantly hounding for pucks, retrieving pucks, and they give the Avs better opportunities. Like the extended shifts in the O-zone lead to tired Dallas legs, and if that means that next O-zone face-off, they can get better guys on and just give them a better chance to get in these things. And tonight, too, I thought that the third line gave them that best chance, truthfully. And the goals, especially the Wood goal, is just born from pure hard work. But I think the Colton pass from center ice to Wood on that play was so excellent, too. So there's absolutely skill upside I don't want to overlook within this third line. But I think that's where, and I want to give credit to Mason Marchment, and I hate doing this, but he also works very hard, and I think that's why that he had individually so much success against the Avs. But the whole of the Avs third line outworked the third line of Dallas. Yep. And it was hard to do because, again, Marchment was working, but I think it's the energy that they provide the group for a full 60 that is really hard to compete with.
I mean, guys like that are judged differently at the end of a game, at the end of a year, right?
Sure.
Than Mikko or Nate or, those guys need to work. Those guys need to be the hardest working guys on the ice. And like Megan said, they've been the hardest. Look at them the last few games. They turn games around. They make them win. Yeah. And there's a reason why, Megan and my good buddies AJ and Rudo were so excited when the Avs signed Ross Colton, right? There's a reason for that. And his game, same thing. Ross could have had no points tonight, and you still would have seen his effort, would have seen their game, their momentum swings, right? They go and get the momentum back for the team when they lose it. And in playoffs, we go back to playoffs, that's so important. And that's why those guys, I think they found something here in those three with LOC, right? LOC makes everybody better. But I think they found something where they can't break those three up. They got to keep those three together. And I think it's just as solid as the third line as there is in the National Hockey League, if not the best line. If these guys are workhorses are on, they're tough to stop.
I have two questions for you, AJ.
Okay.
One serious and one not so serious.
Hit me.
Not serious. How many skate blades does Miles Wood go through in a single hockey?
It's become like must-see TV.
Every time he's on the bench.
Every time they cut to him on the bench, he's standing up and he's got his leg out, and they're taking a look at his skate. It's ridiculous. What is happening there?
Just a wild thing that was going on. Number
Sometimes
two,
mental.
And this one I will ask to everybody. Are we good with that not being goalie interference?
Yeah, the entire history of goaltender interference, that just can't be allowed to be goalie interference. That puck is on its way in. I can see where Dallas has decided, hey, we are going to challenge this. We think that there's a good shot. There's no contact from anybody around him that causes that contact.
Game's probably over if that goal comes off the board.
and it's kind of an interesting coaching decision.
Sure.
Because if they don't challenge that and they just get into it, then, okay, the Avs have made it 3-1, whatever, but you're back at 5v5. They do challenge it. If they win it, it's 3-0. They're feeling like, okay, they're probably going to lose this game. And then what happens, they challenge, they're wrong, the Avs get the goal, they get the power play, and they don't score on the power play.
Yep.
But the Avs are spending the entire time in the offensive zone, and it's...
Start winding it up.
When you're talking about being up 3-0 halfway through a game, and you're trying to script, how can we blow this? This is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that not being... I don't think that should have been goalie interference. I'm good with it.
I'll speak for myself here. I'm not shy, especially been in that position before. For me, that's a bad call on the Dallas part. It's a good goal. I don't see where you need to challenge that. Puck's already going in. I'm the guy in DeBoer's ear, or his assistant coach. Don't challenge it. It's all good. Move on. You're not going to win that argument. I'm not always right, but on this one, I felt pretty confident. I do believe it's a play that turn things around, because you're right. They don't score on that power play, but they go and feel the puck and they feel good about their game, and then their game starts to turn around. I didn't like the call by Dallas.
What I will say as a small defense for Dallas here, because I would not have challenged that if it were me either, Dallas's PK on the night is coming in at like 90% or something, so they
It's
feel
good.
pretty confident on it. Yeah,
There's something to be said about trusting your guys that, hey, even if this doesn't go our way, we think we can get out of it. And they kind of did. They don't give up the power play.
The power play
goals,
itself
but
they got out of.
They don't really do. They don't put themselves in a position to put a halt to Colorado building momentum, even with the kill. And I think that's where you look at it and say, maybe not the best call.
So ultimately, the Avs do end up breaking through on the power play, just not that one. As they get another opportunity later in the period, it ends up being a Ryan Johansen tip-in goal. A play that the Avs have started to find a lot of success with that Makar shot from the point and bodies in front. Have the Avs found a power play recipe for success that is sustainable here? Let me ask it that way.
Is any power play ever sustainable?
Reasonably sustainable.
Even inside this game, they didn't fully trust Johansen on the top unit
For
full
sure.
time, although bringing him back onto it led to immediate success because of his positioning inside the slot. But even that lack of trust suggests to me that they haven't quite struck gold yet. But I think part of it is they are disrupted not having Lehkonen there as an option for the top unit, so it is a bit disheveled. But I don't know what to say about the Avs power play. When it works, and it's great. But that's just so true of all power plays around the league. Like, it is a really good power play when it works, and I think they've been finding some success with Johansen specifically, but I don't think it's quite where they want it to be just yet.
I'll go back to my line, keep it simple, stupid. Because when they do that, a shooting power play is a successful power play. So when they shoot the puck, you got the best guy on top there, Cale Makar, dances to the middle. I mean, I don't know what he does. He opens his hips, whatever he does, it's amazing. And then he gets shots through. And then you got bodies like Val that tips pucks. I mean, for me, if you're not shooting every 3-4 seconds, you're doing something wrong. And with what you have, you should be doing this. And that was a huge power play goal. It's the turning. I mean, Woods for me is the turning point in the game. Woods' goal. But this is a crucial power play goal there.
It's true.
And that gets them back within a shot of being tied in the game, and that was a huge power play goal there.
On the topic of the power play, Jeff, I understand why it's incredibly frustrating because you're mentioning Cale Makar, best goal-scoring defenseman in the NHL since he's joined the league. Mikko Rantanen, literal 50-goal scorer. Nathan MacKinnon, highest volume shooter in the NHL. And you watch them pass it around for 45 seconds and not shoot a puck, and you just want to pull your hair out. Like,
Kills me.
it's super frustrating. And then they'll turn around and score a goal in 5 seconds and go, okay.
Well, and I think you got to give the coaching staff a little bit of credit here, too, because they watched Jonathan Drouin and
not play well.
He ends 2 consecutive power play possessions with turnovers.
Yep.
Separate entries. They get it back in. He loses the puck and it goes down the ice. They pull him off. Ryjo comes on.
Yep.
Rest of the top unit's still out there.
Agreed.
Ryjo comes on. It pays off. They get the goal. The
Fair
other thing
point.
about Cale shooting from up top, I don't know. The guy's a wizard. I just don't understand. I don't
Ended
understand.
up with 3 assists tonight, by the way.
Well, and specifically that goal, I don't understand how other teams are not like, you know what? We're going to give up the one-timer to Nathan MacKinnon. Yep. What we're going to do is we're going to take away Cale Makar and we're going to take away Mikko Rantanen one-timers. We will live with every other potential outcome. No offense to Nathan MacKinnon, but if you're a team that is trying on a power play to stop the Avalanche, why, in whatever deity you believe in, would you ever let Cale Makar just wander on in and shoot pucks at you? He could be falling away, skating backwards into the wall,
You're
throwing
still
wrist
worried
shots
about
at the
that
point,
thing,
and
yeah.
you're still not comfortable with it. Why in the world would you allow that?
But you know what's beautiful?
It's baffling to me.
But
No,
you know
it really
what's
is.
you know what's beautiful? Because it's the way he carries. Again, I do that. The ice shakes and it's an earthquake. Like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean? He does it. It's graceful, and you're trying to defend that. You're like, you don't know where to go. And you gotta remember, he gains that middle. He comes right to the middle. And what does that do? Then it makes the 2 guys there, depending on how you're defending it. You have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. You have to communicate. You have to decide, you got this one or you got this one. And then it creates chaos. And then it opens the game up. And then he puts it so much on net. Like, it's so beautiful to get him. You shoot that puck, AJ, because you're a power play defenseman. You were. and it hits three pads. It doesn't get through. You know what I mean?
It looks like Sam Girard.
But that's why Sammy's not on the power play, right? You know, this guy, it gets through, and it's smart, and he finds sticks, and guys are smart too because they know it's coming because it gets through. It's not like any, you know, like Sam. I hate bashing Sam because he's my buddy, and I love him. But I'm just saying, this guy gets it through. And the way he does it, it's so tough to defend. And that's why I hate when they're just like overthinking this power play and it's going everywhere. Just bring it to him, let him do his magic, and good things will happen.
I also why he's able to get it through is because he's not trying to pick a corner.
No.
He's not trying to make the really, you know, the Roman Yossi, Brent Burns, just blow one past a goaltender. He'll do that sometimes.
He's just getting it in there.
But for the most part, that's not what he's shooting for, and he's not shooting for a pad for a rebound. He is shooting for that 7-hole right under a goaltender's arm. Right in that area. The puck is really hard to pick up going through traffic, and the puck is much more tippable when it's that height.
Waist height for a skater.
You see it because the guy's not reaching up. You're not ever in threat of a high stick, and guy's not trying to tip it up at a really sharp angle for it to either go in the net or over or whatever. It is, and it can go up or down. Tips up or down can go in from there, and it sounds easy. Just shoot for like the midsection, but you have to be able to get it through with enough consistency and enough
the right amount of power
and exactly the right amount of force to make it difficult to defend. And again, they're talking about you're talking about make a decision. My decision is I'm not letting this dude shoot. I'm not doing it. And obviously it looks great when they keep scoring like this over and over and over because they've scored a number of these goals in the last week.
Nuke has a couple tips too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it looks really like, stop doing this. But it's freaking Cale Makar. Don't let him do this.
He will continue to do it.
Right.
But also for younger kids out there that are playing, they're teenagers, whatever it is, or beer leaguers, Megan, I dare you to go back and find this guy when he shoots the puck. He doesn't hit the lights on the ceiling of Ball Arena or tonight, whatever it's called in Dallas. His backswing is this high. There's no like, I'm shooting. He just lets it go, and it hits. I mean, I'm telling you, it doesn't go further than this on the back end. And the way he lets it go is so hard for a goalie because goalies look at your blade. They watch you release. That's what they're doing. They watch you release. This guy, you don't know when it's going, and when it goes, it goes. There's no like, I'm shooting. Hey. So you beer leaguers out there, remember. No backswing on the release.
Yeah, there's no telegraphing. You don't know if he's going to pass that. You don't know if he's going to shoot it. It's just sitting on a stick, and then it's gone somewhere.
Unserious question for the couch this time, which will lead to a real conversation. But the initial question, is there a force stronger in the universe than the X-player curse?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I got one.
What
is
is it?
True. It'll go back. Is if a guy has a kid that day.
The dad strength.
It's unreal.
The dad strength.
It's unreal. They score. But you're right. Against your former team, it is true. And you know, I jumped on that, Megan. But it's also having a kid that day. Usually guys score goals. I don't know what it is, but they do. They just do.
Just to read you the stat line, because we're going to talk about Val a lot. He was amazing in this hockey game. Got the game-tying goal. Oh, they took the assists away? That's sad.
Which one? Oh, because he went to the D.
Yeah, because it was the touch. But a line of ex-Dallas players in Nichushkin, I think it was Kiviranta and Olofsson, that get the Avs tied in this game fairly early in the third period. Is that a bunch of guys that are working extra hard tonight to say F you to Dallas, basically?
I did see the work ethic from Kiviranta early, just to win battles and be difficult to play against, and he does eventually stick on the score sheet with the Cogliano goal too. And it's just a board battle won and an immediate shot release that leads to that loose puck for Cogliano. So I definitely saw it from Kiviranta, I will say.
Cogliano, an ex-star as well.
Also, pretty special.
But I tell you one thing, it's what do you call that? Human nature. Yeah. It's a human nature feeling.
To want to show them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, you didn't want me, you know. And again, you know what? When you get dressed before the game, first of all, you got to put money on the board, right, against your former team. But that's all you hear, guys. I mean, because usually they shut the music probably 20, 25 minutes before you go out there for warm-up. And I'm telling you right now, it's every team I played on. And the more teams you played on, the more times you hear it. You know, they'll tell you, yeah, AJ, that team took a big dump on your head there, big fella. And then, you know what I mean? And then
Rude.
You're constantly,
And graphic.
You're constantly reminded that those guys took a dump on you. And it's the Vegas Golden Knights 5-6 years ago factor, the Misfits, right?
Yep.
It's a true phenomenon. And you want to go there, you want to play, and you want to play good, and you want to contribute, and you want to hurt your former team. And you do. Because they let you go. So they affected your ego somewhere. You're not good enough, we don't want you. And it is a true phenomenon.
The other side of this conversation, this is the version of Val Nichushkin that is worth that contract. The play is just so good. And you saw the underlying stuff be really, really good for most of the night. The finishing didn't come until it did. And, you know, that's a bit lucky for Val, no doubt. A flipped puck that just comes right up the slot to him.
Right place, right
You
time.
take what you can get.
At
But
the same time, when you go however many games without a real goal, because his only goal was the empty netter in Seattle for a while.
Yep.
When you go that many games, you're not getting any of those things.
It's true.
So this is just a guy that regularly goes to the net, was not getting anything that was, you know, popping to his stick. And if you have the right process enough, eventually, the great thing about hockey, that stuff evens out over time. May not be 1-for-1, but it gets pretty close to where you should be. And that's started to happen. That has started to even out over time.
Yep.
This isn't Val's new normal. He will have struggles again. He's not going to continue to deflect pucks in every night and then get a freebie off of I think it was Essa Lindell's stick. But
Yeah, I think you're right.
you know, the process is paying off for him because he's putting himself in good positions. He's working hard. He's winning battles. He's extending possessions with the hunting of pucks on offense. He's doing all the right things, and you're seeing it pay off. And just in the nick of time, Arturi Lehkonen goes down. He stepped onto the top line and has been fantastic since.
Do we have a pizza sponsor or no?
Not
We don't
anymore.
right now. Okay, so this is how I teach young kids, right? I always say, kids, you like pizza? They go, yes. So I call Pizza Hut, like the outside of the posts, you know, do a pizza shape. Like, you want to score goals, you go to Pizza Hut. You like pizza? You go to Pizza Hut. That's where you go. So if Val Nichushkin, like, goes 5 feet to the right and doesn't get into the pie shape, you know, he doesn't get that puck. So yeah, it's a lucky bounce, but he went to Pizza Hut because he wanted pizza. You know what I mean? He did. And that's how you score goals.
You stop talking about pizza, you're making me hungry.
Yeah, I know, man. I
just
love
wanna eat
pizza.
pizza now.
You want pizza, you go to Pizza Hut. And Pizza Hut's in front of the net. You show me the heat chart, right? You don't score goals from the corner. You got to get to the front. And that's where
You'll score 5 of them a year.
Oh, yeah.
And
great.
it'll be like, great.
What was the goalie thinking?
Miko scored that one in LA.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened since.
Yeah. Or
That's how it
Bedard
goes.
scored from the corner, right? You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
whatever, last week. That was
Better
sick.
analogy than I thought. You're gonna like be putting a slice of pizza in front of the crease or something
that
on
would've
the
been
ice.
sick.
That'd have been a tough one for me.
But the kids love it. They're like, oh, I want pizza. All right, go to Pizza Hut. Go. All right.
Val now 13 points in 16 games. What the doctor ordered for the Avs?
Yeah, because
No.
even more in reflecting on Rantanen's goal, it's Val Nichushkin's role on that play that allows
Absolutely.
Mikko Rantanen to enter this game and be Mikko Rantanen.
Yep.
He was another player I thought was a little too passive through that point, but
Yep.
only players with Rantanen's skill can make that play complete. And it's with the help of a player like Nichushkin. And I think this is something that the top six is still balancing, figuring out is who's going to complement who. And tonight, Val Nichushkin complimented everybody in the top six.
And to your point there, and I love Logan O'Connor.
What a nice guy.
Right? We love Logan O'Connor, right?
Yep.
Friend of the show. You give Logan that puck there where Val had 25 times, he won't score once. But you give that big fella, the big moose, 25 times that puck, he'll score 20 out of 25. And that's what makes him special, you know?
Backhand's unreal, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
We are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get yours here at the bar. On tap, 8 different kinds you can try. We had a number of Avs fans come out and say hi to us today. So shout out the people who came down to the bar. We appreciate you. We got one hanging out up here with us. Always a good time here, but you can find it anywhere in the 50 United States with the Breck Brew Locator online at breckenridgebrewery.com. Go check them out. And then you also missed out on a bunch of ticket giveaways for the Circa Broncos trip. Gave away a bunch of tickets for a 2-night stay in Vegas over at Circa tonight. They're giving away more at the tailgate tomorrow for the Broncos game, so you can still get in. You can still win some tickets. You can still go enjoy yourself out in Vegas in January. Have a great time out at Circa. Make sure you get yourself down to the tailgate tomorrow. Have a great time. And if you're ever going to Vegas, you can get a good chunk of change off when you use the DNVR code when booking with Circa. Go check them out. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. You guys already started?
Finally.
Do you just want to pop off?
No.
Okay.
What I want to ask is, did friend of the show Joe Sakic like the game?
I don't know. That's a little diagonal.
Joe approved.
The other way. There you go. Yes. Good guy.
I certainly like the second half of it, I bet. I don't know how much you like the first half.
I don't know how long this is going to go on.
It's
so he's
pretty
just,
impressive. Yeah.
He's just going to keep agreeing with us.
That bobblehead spring is locked and loaded.
I'm not sure it's been used before.
You guys started talking about the Mikko goal. The guy who was a little bit quiet the other night in the Avs win as well. I can't explain that backhand because it's not from this planet. But a guy that, if he gets his opportunities, is going to come through for you.
Yeah, and he didn't score. He had one earlier in the game. He doesn't score on it. And we were like...
Puts it right into Andre's glove.
You could see it in his face that he was
just
like...
goes,
He knows. He knows. I've got that in the bag.
Yep.
Boy, does he ever... I mean, that's a ridiculous call. And it's funny because, like, Nichushkin just, like, backhands it. Like, he's like, I'm just throwing this at the net. This isn't going to go in.
Hoping for the best.
And it lands right on Rantanen's stick. If you're the Stars, you're like, this is a pretty good deal for us. Colorado's top line is just throwing backhands. And then one of them just happens to be a Rantanen backhand that's a missile. And it beats Andre. You can't even be mad at Andre because you're like, what goalie is thinking, yeah, that's coming at me?
Yeah, his eyes on the back of his head.
Right, like, but not a chance. So, I mean, that's where you look at Mikko Rantanen and you're like, this is why we talk about him as a top 10 player in the NHL.
Yeah.
Because, he has a quiet game. You know that those don't last for elite players. You know that they don't string together lots of these things. So he kind of has a quiet game a couple nights ago. All right, cool. That happens. He's kind of had a quiet start to this. Missed an opportunity. He did not miss that thing.
No.
And that's a game-changing player making a game-changing play.
Yep.
Because that is insanely deflating. The entire... I'm going to go back a little bit, but the entire Dallas team starts to emotionally fall apart when the Avs score that second goal.
Yep.
Because all of a sudden, that 3-0 lead is gone, and they are staring down the barrel of a team that is starting to take it to them, has started to turn up the wick defensively quite a bit, and you get into that third period, and you're getting run. I mean, the Avalanche dominate them in the third period.
Yep.
Not just when they score the goal, and then now it's tied, and then it evens out a little. No, they have just continued to dominate them.
Shots were 15-6.
Dominated them.
Yeah.
And we've talked about, I'm mad about the first period and shit, but we've talked all season. You'd rather be a third period team than a first period team. All right, your first periods need to get better. Agreed. But this third period stuff's starting to get ridiculous. This is a Dallas team that walks in with a ton of confidence. They've been great this year. They've got an elite goaltender who's been great. They have all the elements of walking out of there with a regulation win and turning a 3-point lead in the division into a 5-point lead and saying, come and chase us.
Instead, it's
Spend
a 1-point lead.
all season chasing us down. Well, it didn't take all season. It took a good third period from Colorado. A great third period from Colorado. They just chased them down in one period. That has to scare the shit out of you if you're the Stars.
Yep.
You just did that with a 3-0 lead on home ice. You've got no real injury issues compared to what the Avalanche have, which is not major. It's Lehkonen. Like, it's, Lehkonen and Manson. It's not insignificant, but it's not half the lineup. But you're still looking at it going, okay, What changes as the season goes on? If they have a healthy lineup, oh great, they get worse to play against. Great, because the Avalanche just kicked the shit out of Dallas.
They did.
In Dallas in the second half of that game, and you could talk about score effects, whatever. But once the snowball got rolling downhill, it turned into an avalanche.
Absolutely.
They got buried. I mean, that is absolutely an ass kicking that just got laid on them. And the rest of the West, Vegas is starting to struggle a little bit. They're giving up a bunch of goals. Kilimanjaro is crumbling.
Predictable.
Yeah, right? And what is it with, we're talking about the Avalanche, oh, they've got big problem here, big problem there, big problem there. And they're laying 6 goals on the Stars like this. They are just laying beatdowns on teams when they're winning games. Their losses have been bad, and there's no getting around that.
For sure.
But where are they now? They're 12-5?
1 point back of the lead of the division.
Yeah, you're 1 back of your division leader. Is it 12? Is it 11?
11.
11? Okay.
10, no.
Yeah, it's 11. It's 11.
Is it?
All right, so you're at 11-5. We're talking about them like they've got major holes here. And yeah, they have problems. But their underlying numbers, we've talked all season, they've been really strong. They've been really good. The results are starting to match with that. This was their second biggest game of the season, and it started very, very poorly. But the way that it finished, I talked earlier about there's a vacuum in leadership. There's a problem there. They're having a hard time here. Okay. Well, they seem to solve it halfway through this hockey game.
Yep.
The level of ass kicking that they just lay on the Dallas Stars cannot be overstated. Yes, it is 16 games into the season, and we're not going to talk about this game. If they end up in the playoffs against each other, that's not going to be a focus or anything. But in the moment that you're in, that is a whooping. And that is a message to everybody else out west that you still have an apex predator out there that's just not at the top of its game yet. Because when it is, you are not beating them.
Well, and I think to go back to your first point, we've talked about the mental side of things a lot. You're getting to the point now where every team playing the Avs, if they're going into the third period with a 1-goal lead, they're going, oh shit.
Yeah, they're walking into it like they have a 1-goal deficit.
Yeah.
Because the Avs have been that dominant in third periods.
Yep. The other side of this, you kind of already talked. Oh, did you have something to say on that? Go ahead.
I wanted to revisit my criticisms of their emotional and mental response early in the game because both teams were met with demoralizing moments in this game, and both had the opportunity to respond to them, and the Avs took the route of responding with 6 unanswered goals. That does take some maturity within the group to be able to find that within themselves.
Yep.
And I really do credit the momentum swing brought about from the Wood goal. I think it was really important that they had it when they did because they were able to draw a lot of energy from that. But not every team is capable of that, Dallas included. And granted, they had a much shorter window to respond to the Avs getting the lead in the game when they did because it happened later, but the deficit wasn't as great as 3 goals, at least to start. And Mikko Rantanen's goal is really what was the nail in the coffin. It's what had Dallas pinned to the mat and allowed the Cogliano goal, and then eventually the empty net goal to just really, at that point, that was just superfluous. And I think it is worth noting then the maturity of this Avs group, though it's come under question because of leadership concerns through this point. It still does take a lot of maturity within a group to be able to turn the game around the way in which they did. And it's something that I'm proud of them for because I was critical at the start of this game that they didn't even belong in the conversation of can they compete with Dallas, but they proved by the end of it that they do belong in that conversation, and perhaps it's Dallas that has to answer that, go home tonight and answer that question.
Yep.
I remember, one of my hockey no-nos, right, is always the shift after a goal.
Yep.
If you're the Avs tonight, right, you score 2-11. If you're Dallas, that's deadly.
Yep.
You give up in the playoffs 2-11, you're not winning that game. I mean, 99% of the time, you're not getting in the W column.
Well, especially then. There's no... Obviously, Dallas giving up 4 straight is bad from them, but then to give up the 5th one after 11 seconds more, game's just over. There is no coming back from that as Dallas's side of it. And to your point, Megan, the stark contrast of this game compared to the Blues game a week ago, where the Avs more or less just went away in that hockey game after falling behind in it. Yeah. It just goes to show you don't love them going down 3-0, but maybe that Blues game was more of the fluky, out-of-place one as compared to a team that is in it and knows how to win games.
And not to overstate a win in November, the 16th game of the season, whatever. But the difference between them being 5 points back after tonight, if they lose it in regulation, which they were on their way to doing, now they're 1 point back. And you look at their upcoming schedule, we had spent this week mentioning, here and there, that winning that game sets them up to make a move in the standings and to put a little distance, to be competitive, fight tooth and nail with Dallas, but put distance between those top two spots and everybody else.
Yep.
Let me ask you guys this.
A playoff spot in theory.
Regulation win tonight. They're back 1 from Dallas. 1 week from tonight, after the Flames game in Denver.
Yep.
Is Dallas still leading the division?
I'm going to say no. I think it's the Avs' time.
And that's where responding to that Blues fiasco.
Yep.
And picking yourself up off that mat. Last year was the Chicago game. We talked after that game. We said, hey, they decide that this is rock bottom.
Yep.
Did the Avalanche just have that moment in November this year?
And are about to go on a run.
Right, because if they go on and they go back and they have another 8-2 stretch, they go 8-2. That builds towards, okay, now you've had 2 8-2 segments, whatever it is. You start to put so much distance between you and even wild card spots that it becomes hard for you to have a conversation about, look, even if we have a bad stretch here, we're not missing the playoffs, which was always premature. But the more you hang around and let 5 or 6 teams be within a couple points of you, the more that conversation carries on. And now you go to Nashville. This is a gigantic confidence-building win. You go to Nashville with an opportunity to, okay, we've won 3 in a row. You can't have that be the letdown game.
Yep.
You need to continue building. And this is where the emotional maturity has to come in. You say, all right, you go into Nashville, you get 2 more points. Now you've won 4 in a row. And the rest of the division is like, oh, crap. These guys.
They figured it out. Yeah.
Here we go, guys. It's like year 4 of this shit. Like, these guys, they're going to get hot, and they're going to dust all of us. And how have you want to talk about 2 teams in 2 different places. Go to that Blues win, and look what's happened after. The Avs have straight up.
Yep.
That needle's gone straight up. It's the exact opposite for the Blues. You get rocked by San Jose. Last I saw, they were down 4-0 after the first period in LA tonight.
Still the case, yeah.
That game last week is looking more and more like their Stanley Cup and Colorado's wake-up moment.
Yep.
Well said.
Over 200 likes, and we have a ton of super chats. Thank you so much, chat. We appreciate y'all a ton. Let's get to some of those super chats.
Oh, jeez.
$10 from Taylor, who says, what a game. Awesome experience at the DNVR bar. Great to meet Rudo. How about the third line? Love their energy game in and game out. Feels like they give the top line a boost of a consistent basis. Eric talks about this all the time. How many goals did the top line score that you're saying, hey, that third lineman out there, tired him out, got you an offensive zone face-off? It's a team game.
Well, now that line is producing enough offense that
they're a threat of their own.
You're starting to come around to the idea that that's your most important line.
Sure.
Like, obviously, your top line is your top line. They have to be your best player, whatever. But the way that third line works and chips away and grinds, and it just gets the Avs, it drags the Avs into games on bad nights.
Did tonight?
On nights where you're like, this is not great. They're dragging the Avalanche into it because they are relentless. And this is what we talked about in the offseason with Wood and Colton, bringing a level of consistent competitiveness.
Yep.
They drag the Avalanche into a healthier headspace. And then once the rest of them get there, this is what you get. This is what you see that.
Yep. $5.99 or $4.99 from Banks, who says, after 03, I was thinking Blues or Vegas, but the boys' vibes at the end of the second was hammer Avs -1.5 in the third at +225, and I listened. Let's go. By finally paying off the bets for Banks. They're coming in for him. Yeah, I think a lot of people were probably in that headspace of here we go again when that game got to 3-0. But luckily the Avs sorted it out and weren't in that headspace themselves. So they deserve all the credit in the world for turning that around. $5.94. I keep $5. I can speak from Vaguely Sober. Sweaty boy for Callahan Burke getting his first of the season. Eagles tied at 2 with San Jose in the third. They go on to win that game, as Vaguely Sober points out with another super chat. who gives the Sweaty Boys to Ben Myers, who gets the OT winner for the Eagles. So it's the Colorado double win tonight. How'd the Grit do? Did they figure it out? Nah, tragic. Can't have every team win in Colorado, I guess. And then he also is popping off for Callahan Burke. Second goal of the season as well, vaguely sober. The big Eagles fan in chat. $20 from Taylor, who says, just a general shout out to the DNVR fam. Great people. Thank you so much, Taylor. Appreciate it a ton. And then $20 from Jim, who says, never a doubt this team is gutsy. Don't doubt them. They will be a cup contender yet again. The Bozo haters will figure it out. Wanted to share some of my winnings with the DNVR squad. Thank you so much, Jim. $20, a lot of money. We appreciate it from all of you. $5 from the Walrus Man himself. Was here for the watch along. I couldn't watch the game. Never got a notification for the post game pod, but I'm here for the recap. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you very much. $2 from the Schick, who says, this team is cool. This pod is cool. So
well said.
That's all we had to say for the whole show. I think that would have covered it all. And then absolutely ridiculous super chat at the end here. The big $50 from Tyler, who says, by far the best game I've seen so far. Much love from the Avs fan in Indy. $50 is a ridiculous amount. I mean, that's just craziness. Thank you so much for Tyler and all of you who gave us super chats. We appreciate it a ton, and it means a lot for us. Moving into the final part of the show, any final thoughts? Anything you guys wanted to touch on? Just Joe Sakic bobblehead. Think that sums it up.
That's what I wanted to touch on.
Carry it on to Nashville, right? Carry it
Carry
on to
it
Nashville.
on.
Yeah.
That's right. We talked about that. Then you win that one, it's a winning streak, right? Because it's 3. You know, 2 is 2. You know,
you have Nashville, which you worry about being a trap game because it's in between Dallas and Vancouver, which has set up it to be another big game out west. And then you always want to win those division games. Got a big week. Got a big week coming.
Yep.
You get Nashville, Vancouver, Minnesota, Calgary. If you go 4-0 in that week, you feel pretty good. You go 3-1.
You feel pretty good.
You feel pretty good. And with that schedule, 3-1 should be your baseline of success.
We got a late super sticker here. $10 from Roy, who says, character holding their hands together saying thanks. Thank you very much, Roy.
I miss the dramatic reading voice.
There haven't been any super stickers this year. That's like the first one.
Yeah.
So, all right. One final question. Would you guys say the goaltenders tonight were leaky?
Yes.
They should probably get Red Hawk Roofing. Go over to Red Hawk Roofing if you're having any leaks in your roof, or if you just want to get it checked out. It's a free consultation. They'll come out, they'll inspect your roof, they'll even take pictures for you. They'll make sure you know exactly what's going on up there. They will do it all for free, all that for free, and they'll tell you how to get it done, and then they'll get it done for you if you do have a problem. They have 24/7 response times too, so they'll help you out if you have an emergency leak, anything like that. Get on over to Red Hawk Roofing today. Check them out. They'll get you all sorted out, whatever roof you got going on. The snow's coming, so make sure your roof is good to go with Red Hawk Roofing. And if you're trying to get in on an Avs game coming up here, get in through Game Time. You can get the best prices through Game Time with code DNVR. When you sign up with your new account, your first purchase gets $20 off, so there's even cheaper tickets right there. Go in with them. If you wait for like last minute deals, you can get a great price. If you do the section selector, where you pick the section, they pick the tickets, you'll save like 20%. They have all sorts of other options too, and it's not just sports. They'll get you into the concerts, they'll get you into theaters, wherever you want to go. Game Time has you covered with the best ticket prices around. Download the app today. Join the over 15 million people who have used Game Time to get tickets and get into whatever sporting event you're trying to get into. That's all we got for the day. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. It was a fun one. Hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did. We are off tomorrow, but we're back Monday, so be sure to tune in for all of that. Check out thednvr.com. We'll have written pieces. We'll have video pieces. We got it all coming your way. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. Do all the good stuff. We appreciate y'all, and we will talk to you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.